Morning everybody, today I'm going to take you through the processes and steps of making sourdough. Everything from the levain, to the autolyse, to the bulk fermentation, to the shaping, folding, proving and then cooking tomorrow morning. So the first stage is the levain. So the levain uses the mother starter. So this starter I've had for a number of years. Basically every day I feed it, which the process is putting 50 grams of the starter into a clean jar, and then adding 50 grams of rye flour, dark rye flour, 50 grams of unbleached white strong flour, then 100 mils of water. And then basically anything that's left over I just discard, and then basically follow that process every day and you can keep it indefinitely. Throughout that process the fermentation will just get stronger and stronger and the flavour gets much deeper. So the levain is an offshoot of the mother. So I'm just going to weigh out 50 grams of the starter. There we go. So we've got again 50 grams of dark rye flour, 50 grams of the unbleached white strong, and 100 mils of water. And then all I need to do is just mix that together. Making sure all the flour is absorbed by the water, so no dry particles anywhere. There we go. Then just leave that outside of direct sunlight. Ideal temperatures around 22 to 25 degrees centigrade, but outside of direct sunlight, and that will just start to come to life. Okay, so the next stage is the autolyse. This is where we mix the flour and water together. So this recipe will make 2 900 gram loaves and includes 750 grams of unbleached white strong flour, 55 grams of dark rye and 110 grams of wholemeal flour. To that also we add 650 millilitres of tepid water, so room temperature water, around 21 to 23 degrees is good. Now we just mix this together with our hand to make sure all the flour is absorbed, fully hydrated. Now we cover it with a damp cloth and leave it to one side for about an hour, hour and a half to let the water do its work. See you soon. Okay, the dough's been resting for an hour and the levain is nice and ripe and ready to go. So we're now going to mix everything together. Okay, to test the dough is ready, you just need to wet your hands and then grab some dough and stretch it out. It's called the window effect. You want to get that nice, really thin moment. So now I'm going to start mixing in the levain. So get the scales. Just going to tear the scales, zero them off. And then I'm going to add 184 grams of the levain. As you see, it's beautifully risen and really puffed up and ready to go. So it's going to weigh out 184 grams. Okay, now just again, wet your hands slightly. You just want to pull the dough up and over the levain. Okay, now you want to just mix it through really evenly, so it needs to be mixed through. And just grab your hand from underneath, again slightly wet, just drag it around. And this is where you start seeing the structure of the dough come together. Now you need to do this about 4 to 5 minutes. Just moving it around the bowl. As you can see, it's cleaning the bowl, taking all the surplus dough off the sides as we go around. See the structure of the dough is really starting to change, go nice and smooth and really shiny. Then just cover that for half an hour to rest again before I add the salt. Okay, so that's been resting for half an hour. As you can see, the dough is nicely relaxed. Now I'm going to add 18 grams of fine sea salt. So I'm just going to sprinkle that evenly over the top. Wetting the hand, just slightly. Just going to go in around the sides of the bowl to loosen the dough. Then you just want to pull it up and over, and just making sure again we're pushing even distribution of the salt through the dough. Okay, there we go. The dough is nicely shaped. Really starting to get some nice structure to that, nice and glossy and smooth. I mean, that's nice and ready. So I'm just going to let this rest for half an hour before we do our first stretch and folds. Okay, that's been resting half an hour since we added the salt. Again, as you can see, the dough is nice and relaxed and got a nice shape and structure to it. So for the first stretch and fold, what I'm going to do is get my wet hands, and then literally we're going to go in, release the dough from the side, and then just fingers underneath, and then pick up and stretch. Okay, drop it down, pick it up again till it releases from the back. Drop it down, turn it around, and just do the same on the other side. Pull it, stretching, really getting some taut structure on there until it releases. Folding it under, with your hands again, just up. Again, there we go. That's one stretch and fold. Another half an hour, let it rest, and we go stretch and fold number 2. Okay, the bulk-proof total time now has been 4 hours, and as you can see, the dough is nicely domed, nice shiny glossy texture, and a few air bubbles on the top. So now it's time to pre-shape. So what I'm going to do is just tip the bowl up and carefully let the dough fall out of the bowl. Now I'm just going to simply divide the dough into half. Now for pre-shaping, what I want to do is get some nice surface tension. So what I'm going to do is you just push the dough and pull it. Push and pull, just like that. You get a nice taut surface. There's the first one. There's the second. So I'm just going to leave that on the counter uncovered for half an hour just to continue proving. Okay, the dough's been resting on the surface uncovered for half an hour, and that's going to be the final shaping of the dough. So we're going to be doing 2 different shapes. We're going to be doing the oval banneton and a round banneton. So I'm going to start with shaping the round. So I'm just going to lightly dust the tops very lightly. Just on flour. Just going to move this one out of the way. Okay, so then you turn it over, and then very carefully just opening it out without knocking the air out. Lightly floured hands. Okay, then the bottom comes up, folds over, make sure all the air pockets are pulled out. Right side over, left side over, and then over and up, and then roll over. Then just going to dust the top. Just basically pick it up, move out any excess flour, and then with your hands, you're just going to cup it around and drag. Pick it up, turn it, and drag. pick it up, twist it, and drag. So it's getting a really nice surface tension on the dough. So it's a nice tight ball. One more. Okay, so that's nice and tight. So I get the round bannock on. Just lightly dust with rice flour. Stops the dough from sticking to the basket as it rises. I'm just going to pick up the dough, flip it over, and then drop it into the bottom of the basket. And then just going to dust the top lightly with rice flour and set aside. So then moving on to the oval bannock, pick it up again, flipping it over. Again, very carefully with lightly floured hands, just opening it out again. Okay, this time one side stretched, pulled over, just working up, get the air pockets out. Exactly the same on this side, stretch and pull over, squeezing the air out. And then we've got a nice long roll, so then just going to grab the end, pull it, tuck it over, make sure that's joined, and then lightly floured hands, just going to basically tuck and roll as all the way down, making it nice and tight. Lightly flour it in your hands. Tuck and roll, all the way till it's sitting on the seam. Now what I'm going to do is just tidy up these edges. So I'm just going to literally pull and stitch edges closed. One side, and pulling and stitching there. And get the bannock on, lightly flour again with rice flour, and then dust the top, and picking it up, turning over onto my hand, laying it in the basket. And again, where the seam's there, just want to stitch that shut, so you literally fold and stitch. Creating a nice tight seam down the middle. Nice tight seam down the middle. Just close off that one side there. So it's nicely closed. And then again, lightly dust the top with rice flour. Now what we do is we place these in the fridge overnight at about 3 degrees to slowly proof for 16 hours minimum. Stop them getting a crust on top. All I do is get a disposable shower cap over the top. Stops the dough from drying out overnight in the fridge. That's it. See you in the morning. Okay, you can see the dough's proved up really nicely. Some nice bubbles on top there and a good structure. So the testing is proved enough before we bake it to make sure it's overproofed, not underproofed. Just stick your finger in the flour and then just push it on top of the dough. Now what to do is wants to spring back reasonably quickly and leave a small dent. If I push my finger in and it stayed deep as a dent, that means it's overproofed and it's lost its strength. The dough's lost its strength quite a lot. And if it springs back really, really quickly and leaves no mark, that means it's still underproofed, so it needs to prove a little bit longer. So a really good simple test of knowing when it's ready. So then what we're going to do, got some greaseproof paper, just going to put on top of the bannock, get the pizza paddle on top, and then literally just flip it over, and then release the bannock. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dust the top of the dough with rice flour. Now, the next thing we need to do, using a lame, which is just a razor blade, we're going to score the skin of the dough. Okay, that's really important because it releases the tension when the dough rises in the oven and stops it from the crust from tearing. When you, with an oval banneton like this, you want the crust to open up really, really nicely. So we're going to cut it at a kind of like 45-degree angle. And when you make a cut with a lame, you want to do it really quickly with confidence. If you do it slow and staggered, it's going to, catch the dough and not do a nice clean cut. And then you've got the risk of it not expanding properly in the oven. So all you do is I'm just going to do a little pattern first along the side here. Just going to do a little corn ears. Just going to do really lightly cuts. Okay, that's a nice little decorative piece. And then from here, I'm going to score nice and quickly around the top there. So just in, nice and quick. There we go. Okay, now that goes into a preheated oven at 240 degrees with steam for 15 minutes. And then what we do is we open the oven door, reduce the temperature down to 210 degrees for a further 20 minutes thereafter. Okay, that's it. 2 loaves, 35 minutes each in the oven. Really good crust. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful bread. Okay, so the bread's been out of the oven for about an hour and a half now. It's really important that you let the bread cool down properly on a wire rack and don't cut it too soon. If you cut it whilst it's still hot inside, the dough's going to stick to your knife and the structure's going to get ruined. So, hour and a half, again, really good crust. Cut through, and then really nice open structure on the inside. That's it. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. It's really interesting to see what you can get out of 3 simple ingredients: flour, salt and water. Great bread, really. Enjoy your bread.